All right, everybody, close your eyes. Close your eyes, please, and don't open them until I ask you to open them. Take this moment and reflect on the many life experiences you've had that make you who you are today. Think about your childhood, high school, early employment. Think about what gave you the skills and talents that you bring here with us tonight. Got it? Now open your eyes and see. This is your view of the world now. You're legally blind forever. But I ask you, where did you go? You know, the you we were just reflecting on? Where did you go? And all those talents, skills, and abilities you were thinking about, where did they go? You're still you, aren't you? And those talents and abilities and skills, when you saw this, didn't go anywhere, did they? This is what I learned when I walked away from wealth management in 2013 and stepped into the world of the blind and the visually impaired. Now, it wasn't until I started volunteering at Lighthouse Central Florida that I realized that I was unknowingly perpetuating barriers to inclusion for people who are blind and visually impaired. Right? I didn't know anybody who was blind. I didn't know anything about blindness. So I didn't care. Because how do you care about that which you don't know? And when I say I didn't know a damn thing about blindness. Didn't know how they live, what their life experience is like, and certainly not what they're capable of. Right? I knew nothing, but I continued to learn through connecting with people, and my perspective began to change. Now, one thing I recognized is the sighted community's unique and curious nature of our understanding of people who are blind or visually impaired, right? The truth of it all. And I know it's not malicious from experiencing through people like Emma. I met this gregarious, I'd say salty lady from the UK named Emma here, and she had traveled the world with an international accounting firm. She loved people, loved connecting, loved making new friendships, telling naughty jokes oftentimes, right? But Emma traveled the globe, she built connections, and she had a blast, and then she went blind. And what Emma told me was, the hardest thing about going blind was that considerate people around her who didn't want to say the wrong thing stopped saying anything at all, right? So people like Emma taught me that people who are blind or visually impaired are most often absolutely no different than you and I. No different. Most of the adults I meet who are blind or visually impaired they're educated, they've had careers, they live full lives, but then something changed. They went blind, and we stopped seeing them. So I'm a gigantic nerd when it comes to working for good, right? So I got in the middle of this, and I continued to learn what I could learn from the people I was around. I discovered through this process that I'm incapable of living without lending my voice to people who are voiceless, right? So over the past 4 years, one thing that I've recognized is that we have the ability as a sighted community to change our perspective and to see the people, to not see a blind person, but a person with experience, life, who's blind, like Addie here. Addie is this cool little girl who came to us as a toddler at Lighthouse Central Florida here in Orlando. And now she's in our school-age program for kids 6 to 13 years old. Now, Addie's just a normal girl. She's like my daughters, Lainey and Ella. She just wants to bake cookies, jump on her trampoline, hang out with her friends, have some fun. If you ask Addie, she'll say she's going to be a cardiologist when she grows up. And you should believe her. I just wonder if the world's going to see her. And then there's my buddy Bob. Now, Bob is my colleague at Lighthouse Works. It's our social enterprise nonprofit company. The saying goes with Bob, if you don't want the truth, don't ask Bob. So Bob was a computer programmer. Bob ran country clubs. But in Bob's words, if you ask him, not my words, hey, people see him and they say, hey, that guy's blind. He must be mentally disabled as well. When Bob goes out to dinner with his wife, the waiter, this maybe is what the waiter sees, but he doesn't see him. These are just a few examples of people in our community, and we're missing them. And there are more across the country. This team of blind employees at Lighthouse Seattle manufactured 7,000 of the parts on that last Boeing 747 you flew in. 7,000 of them. And a lot of those folks are deaf-blind. And in a typical commercial call center, expensive employee attrition is easily 65%. In our Foresight 360 call center here in Orlando, where the people taking calls are blind, our attrition is below 10%. My colleagues show up on time, they don't call in sick, and they take pride in what they do. Now, there are social, economic, and moral implications to our inability to see people who are blind or visually impaired. We either get uncomfortable around somebody who's blind, or we go, wow, that blind guy climbed Mount Everest. But in both cases, we're not connecting with them, and we're missing out. When we change the way we see, what we see will change. And there's no city better equipped than ours to overcome these barriers to inclusion and bring our blind friends and neighbors into clear vision for us all, right? Never forget, whether you can see or not, you're you, and so are they.